Tell a parent or other adult about how in Number the Stars, people in Denmark behaved courageously in helping Jews escape the Nazis during World War II. Tell this adult about how your class discussed ways courage can be shown by people who are not necessarily involved in a war, or who may not even be doing something particularly daring. Then ask the adult to tell you about someone in your family who behaved in a courageous way.
Two German soldiers come in and they are looking for the Rosens. And so the Johansons have to not get caught by the Germans. And so they say that she is one of their daughters. And he says, why are the other ones blind? I have two questions to ask you.
Okay.
Who is someone in our family, in your opinion, who has shown courage?
Well, when you said your collage, and I thought about, I would say my mother. My mother had to take over our family when my father died in '65. I was only 11 then. And she was pregnant at the time with your Uncle Wilbert. You know, Wilbert, he never did see Daddy because Daddy died in January and Mom had him in May. But at this time, she had to take over running, you know, everything, the household, the money part. She had never been into a grocery store. She had never went to a bank, had a checking account, a savings account, and she had all these boys and all these daughters to raise.
She had 11 children to take care of, and she said my grandmother had to make many sacrifices. She had never been in a grocery store, and she said that many times they didn't have many things to wear.
My dad said that on weekends they'll clean up the rich people. Him and his brothers clean up the rich folks' house, and then they'll go up there and the rich people leave like $5.50 out to see if my grandma would take it.
And Mom would always collect all the money. And what it was, they were trying to see how trustworthy your grandmother was. And she'd always pass the test. Never once did she ever stick any money or anything that didn't belong to her in her pocket. And this just continued to show her character, because her character is, you know, it's really who you are.
Any questions about Shantae's story? Michael?
Well, when they left out the money and her kids needed really bad, she was raising kids, she showed like courage for not taking that money.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Tanisha, you want to share yours now?
My mom said, my cousin Taisha, and she said that she had shown courage when her mother was in her last stages of cancer, but always been by her side, not knowing when she was going to take her last breath. She slept on the couch right next to her mother's bed and helped her all she could. She cooked, she gave her a bath, she washed her clothes, she did the shopping, and she helped take care of her little brother. And she said that was great courage for a 14-year-old.
My story is about Mr. Hurstman, the teacher's father. It was about when his father was one to sit in the day, back in the days, I don't know when, but it was when he went in Woolworth and he wasn't supposed to. When only by the color of your skin you couldn't go in certain stores, or stores you couldn't go into. And he went to jail in Greensboro because he walked in Woolworth and sat in and he didn't leave. He was one of the black people that started the civil rights movement.
Comments?
What's Woolworth?
It's a department store. There was a lunch counter there, and some students from North Carolina A&T State University decided that they were going to go in and sit down and eat at the lunch counter. Well, some of them were arrested for that, and there was just a huge movement because those people, it was against the law for them to sit down, and they decided that's what they were going to do. Shantae?
Why did they get, like, I know that people back then, black people couldn't do certain things. Why can't they sit down and eat?
Because it was...
Michael, go ahead.
Well, because it was only because of the color of your skin, and it was back then only colored people couldn't sit down with the white people and eat because they didn't think you were good enough because of the color of your skin. So the black people had to grab their food and leave, and while the other people sit down and they eat in there. Just like they had different water fountains. They had a white color fountain, they had a color fountain, water fountain.
When we were reading Number the Stars, is there a connection there? How is that connected? Rodriguez.
Because the Jews, they are treated different from the rest of the people. That's the people from Hitler treating them different from, because he don't like the Jews for some reason.
Okay. Shante?
That's sort of like the white people represented in Number of the Stars was represented like Hitler and the Nazis. And the Jews was represented like the African Americans.
African Americans. Okay, so we've tied an experience that happened here in the United States back in the 60s with an experience that was happening in Europe during World War II. Mario has a very interesting story to tell.
Mine is about my brother because when he had went to the army, he helped write when my mom when he had wrote letters to our house. He was telling us that it was hard in the army and it was hard and it was hard for him. So it took courage and he wanted to leave. So it took courage for him to leave.
I have a question for you. How did that affect your family when he wrote home and said how hard it was for him? How did you guys take that?
Cause he was telling us that his drill sergeant and stuff was being mean to him, and we thought that he should have came home.
Okay. What happened after he got back home to you guys? After he came back to the house?
That's when he started going to college.
So he left the army and went to college. So where is the courage in this now? Gregory?
Takes courage to not leave, I don't know.
Okay, well, I'll let you think about it for a few minutes. Derek has a comment.
It takes courage for him to leave the army and for him just to walk out the army because he said his goals for him to go to the army first at like a early age. And it was hard for him to break his goal.
And that's the point. He had a goal set and he had to make a decision and he had to change his goals and decide on something else. And Mario told us that his brother decided to go to college and it took a lot of courage for him to be able to make that decision. Yesterday we talked about decision making and how it is when you have to make a decision, not knowing whether it's going to be the right decision or not. And for a young man to have to do that takes a lot of courage. Ryan, you had a comment?
It takes courage for him to quit the army and come home because my dad told me that if you commit yourself to something, you can't quit. And I don't know, I'd be worried that my parents would be disappointed in me or something.
All right. As you sat down with your parents last night or an adult, how did it feel? What did it feel like? LaToya first.
It felt different. It was like you already knew what you was going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote all the questions down on a piece of paper and then asked them, so it's kind of easy. But I couldn't get my grandma to stop talking. So
Okay.
I'm like, okay, it's enough.
It's just like, starts on like Papa and Mama never talked about Lisa for a while. My grandma tried to forget about what happened to my grandpa. Yesterday was the time she had finally talked about it, said something about it.
My dad has never talked about my grandma, my great-grandma, because, like, it brings tears to his eyes or whatever. Because we usually talk about what happened at school, but when we talked about this, I think it kind of brought us closer together as a daddy and a daughter.
All right. Jason, what did it feel like sitting down talking to your mother about something like this?
Well, I learned some stuff, and usually I don't sit down and talk about people in my family being courageous. When did you start thinking about as your mother being courageous?
You know, I really didn't think about it until you asked and was listening to your story about the Jews then, and I thought about my mother. I hadn't really thought about it. There were times when some of the things she had that she really had to be really strict with us. I thought she was mean. But now that when you asked me, I realized, she was courageous. So I know what to get on her Mother's Day card. She won't understand it, but I will.